For this one, I think that this is a surprise pick here, but Matthew Schaefer.
Yeah,
Obviously
big
not a
surprise.
surprise. Yeah, but elite top pair defenseman in my eyes in the future. Get him with Noah Dobson. Don't overthink it. They have a new GM, new regime coming in. I think it's not going to be the hometown kid, James Haggins. You have to take a guy that compares himself to Cale Makar as well as his coaching staff in Erie. This is an easy slam dunk.
Yeah, I think they could go with both, either like Misa or Schaefer. Like we talked about this before, but I think even Caleb Denoyer could be a like an option there at number.
Wow.
Maybe not number one, but at number two. Like I was getting mixed up. I was like, not number one. Forget it. But I think Matthew Schaefer is a good pick, but I wonder if they want to add some offense to that team too. So maybe they would go with Michael Misa, but Matthew Schaefer. I mean, that's a hell of a pair with Dobson and Schaefer in the future. They're gonna move the puck at an elite level.
You know, if the Islanders do go Michael Misa, I'm actually terrified as a Blackhawks fan because the Sharks getting Matthew Schaefer is incredible. I could not like think of a better play for the Sharks than getting Matthew Schaefer.
For the Sharks? You mean if the Islanders go with let's say Michael Misa?
Misa. Yep.
Yeah. Well, for sure, for them, for the Sharks, if the Islanders were to go with the hometown boy of Haggins or Misa or whoever it is, and the Sharks get to have Matthew Schaefer, it basically completes their rebuild. It's what they need. They have the depth. They already have Dickinson, who's been like completely crazy all season, and in the playoff even more. So I mean, you have Schaefer and Dickinson. They're set.
And do you remember in those 1.5 games before Matthew Schaefer broke his collarbone, it was Sam Dickinson, Matthew Schaefer out there on the same team. So they already have a repertoire. Like you got to they practice, they've talked. Like that is also a good fit there too. So for number two, who do you have?
For number two, now that Schaefer is gone, I think they will go with Michael Misa. Probably the most dynamic offensive player that's on the board, like of the draft, basically. It's not necessarily what they need, but at that point, at number two, you don't go with what you need. You just go with whatever's there, and that's the best player available. And Michael Misa is going to come and complete that top six, which is going to be probably one of the elite top six in the NHL with Celebrini and Will Smith, and then Michael Misa and other players like Musty and Chernyshov and
Eklund.
Yep. It's like they're going to be loaded. They're going to have one of the best top nine in the entire NHL. And now for them, it's just going to be to round out the defense a little bit. But with Michael Misa, it also pushed Will Smith to the wing, where he can do his thing on the wing on the first line with Macklin Celebrini, and that's like super dangerous. You add somebody with a bit more frame on that line, and it's going to be a hell of a line. And the second one can be anchored by Michael Misa. So, yeah, that would be a hell of a pick too. Even though it's not exactly what they want, it really completes the team. So,
well, two things here. One, I think Mike Greer or someone in the Sharks organization said that they are planning to bring Will Smith in at center next year. So I thought that was surprising based on how Celebrini and Will Smith with Toffoli kind of looked this year. And second, with Saginaw, Michael Misa and Igor Chernyshov had incredible chemistry. So I would love to see them play at the next level together, maybe on that second line. I know Michael Misa is not a second line player in my opinion. I think his upside is first, but the Sharks are just loaded. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Patrick Kane played on the second line, and it wasn't based on his talent. It's just fit.
But anyway, it's not necessarily a second line just because you have four line, but it's a 1A, 1B. It's like Macklin Celebrini is a better player than Michael Misa, in my opinion. Like no questions about it. So he's going to be anchoring the first line. The line is going to get the toughest matchups. But then your second line, if you can come in with William Eklund and let's say, I don't know, Chernyshov and Michael Misa or Musty in there, that's a hell of a second line.
Yeah.
It's called the second line, but it's basically another first line. So and like you said, maybe they'll go with Will Smith at center, but it will just depend who's going to be the better center at that point. Like if Michael Misa projects better or plays better at center, has better face-off, he's better in the dot and all this thing, maybe they'll go with Misa and Will Smith just go to the wing. Or maybe it's the opposite. It doesn't really matter. They get the option. So just a great pick.
Something that I have wondered, and maybe the viewers can comment this in the comments. Who, like, is it scarier for Michael Misa to be playing with Celebrini on the first line or Celebrini with Will Smith? Because, like, what would you rather see? Because I know the chemistry is there with Celebrini and Will Smith, and then with Misa and Chernyshov. So what would you guys rather have? I would actually like to see what you guys think.
Well, for me, I think I like the Will Smith and Celebrini. Because I think that first they already have that chemistry. They're friends over there. But it's also like Macklin Celebrini has a lot of finishing talent, not just playmaking talent. And Will Smith has a little bit of both too, but he's an elite playmaker, elite handler of the puck in traffic and around player. So he can make play at an elite level, and Macklin Celebrini can finish them, and you can put a player that finish at the net on their line, and it's like basically a perfect line. So it's I'd keep it that way. Michael Misa just develop some chemistry with other players and leave them alone.
I completely agree with you. Couldn't say it better.
All right. So number 3 for your Chicago Blackhawks.
So last time I said James Haggins, and under 5'10", or
changing your mind?
Under 5'11". But here's the thing: like, James Haggins and Anton Friendel now have very similar money lines for the Blackhawks. It started out on FanDuel, it was plus 600 for Frondel, and then that day it was tied up. And I believe that nobody knows what they're doing, but there is a lot of serious talk surrounding Anton Frondel being the 3rd overall pick. I believe that James Haggins is the better player, the better fit for the Blackhawks, in my opinion, because yes, they've drafted in excess of under 6-foot centers and players and forwards in their top 6, but you can trade anybody if you're getting a type of talent with James Haggins. Could I see James Haggins, Frank Nazar, and Connor Bedard playing and, overcoming those struggles with size in the playoffs? Yes, because Frank Nazar plays like a 4th liner with first-line mentality. Mm-hmm. So I don't see him as a player that's 5'11". James Haggins, yes, incredible playmaker and might not be the most physical player, but he is a number 1 overall type of player in this class, not normal classes, but in this class. So even though I thought it was going to be James Haggins, I am leaning towards Anton Friendel, and it's not a what I would do mock. I believe it's going to be a what I think would do mock pick right here. So I'm going to say Anton Friendel. Transition game is going to get a lot better going to American rink size. It's smaller. SHL, every single player I've talked to, like I continue to say, says he's the best player they've ever played against, has an incredible shot. I just think it would be a really good wing player. I don't think he's going to stick at center. I think it's going to be a wing player for Bedard if they go this direction.
Yeah. And but he kind of play like a winger anyway. So even if you draft him as a center, like, in the worst case scenario, if he doesn't top off as a first line type of player, he's probably like a second line center who can play on both sides of the puck and has decent game along the board. But like, most of his game is shooting the puck and jumping on rebounds. So that scream winger to me. So if you put him with a guy with a line? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, can you imagine him on a line with like a Frank Nazar that's just passing him the puck like a Jake O'Brien did with Nick Lardis, or you put him on a power play with Connor Bedard? You're not going to be able to stop those two. They're two, I believe that they both are what I would describe as snipers, like true snipers, and you have those guys on a power play, you cannot double both of them. So I actually think he opens up space for Connor Bedard if you have him on the same line.
Personally, I think it's very high. But very high. It's not like Anton Friendel should be in the 20s, but it's more like number 3 for the level of talent that he brings. Yeah. It's not a value pick. The value of that pick is not necessarily great, but it helps you build the team. So I would understand why Blackhawks would go this way. Like I said, he's a guy that can play on both sides of the puck, so he has decent defense. He projects as a player who's going to be capable of having like somewhat of a good impact on both sides, a good two-way player. So I understand the pick is just, I like him, but I don't like him that high. But
If the board laid out like this, which is probably what's going to happen, who do you think the Blackhawks should draft?
Well, personally, I think I would go with Caleb Denoyer or Martone. So it's one or the other. I would go with a player that has probably more, there's more creation coming out of his stick. But Bedard can create as much as he can finish, so that's not really an issue. But I feel like the team is missing probably some player who can create offense. And if you can have a guy I prefer Caleb Denoyer over Anton Frandel. So I would take Caleb Denoyer no matter what. Like if he's available and there's Anton Frandel, I would take Caleb Denoyer because he has the same potential on the defensive side of the game, but I think he's also a much better space creator, much better play creator, and he's not just there waiting for shot or just jumping on rebound. So I would take him above, but also James Haggins. I think James Haggins, yes, there's the fact that the Blackhawks already took a lot of 5'11", 5'10" player, and that might be a problem in the future. But James Haggins is at this moment, it could be different in a couple of years, but at this moment, he's the superior player. He projects as the superior player either two also. I don't know which word which one I'm supposed to use here. So yeah, but I would understand why they would go with Anton Frandel, though. It's just it wouldn't be my choice.
I completely agree with you. It's not my choice. Anton Frandel is not in my top 5, but this is a spoiler for my rankings. Caleb Desnoyers is now in my top 5. I did not think that was going to happen going into the season. Him and Anton Frandel were actually my first write-ups that I did for Draft Pros this year over the summer, and I got to watch a lot of their clips last year too. But I had Caleb Desnoyers 12 or 13, but he has solidified himself in the top 5 for me. I think I was way too low there.
All right. So next at number 4, we have the Utah Mammoth. Well, in the mock draft that got erased, they had Anton Frandel and Chicago had James Haggins. We could switch that up, or because they already have that dynamic, great skater, smaller player who's more of a distributor than a finisher in what's his name? Cooley?
Yep, Logan Cooley. Yep.
Yeah, I think they could go with Caleb Desnoyers here. Like a player that's a different type of player, has more size, less speed, less dynamism in the way that he plays, but can bring a different element. And that would he's the type of guy that has a very safe floor, but also a high ceiling. So I think it would be great for them to have a Caleb Desnoyers to anchor that second line while Cooley does its thing on the first line.
I think this is a phenomenal pick. I think that a lot of what Utah has on their prospect pool was stars. I mean, they just got Daniil But and Shimashev.
Yeah.
I don't think...
Oh, he's not happy.
Sorry. Yeah.
You don't like my pick.
He wanted the Utah Yetis. I think that was the name he wanted.
Yeah.
But the Mammoths just kind of make him upset.
Rub him the wrong way.
Yeah. But the thing is, Caleb Desnoyers is kind of the perfect fit for this team. I'm a huge Dylan Guenther guy. I think that they've built the right way. They need a guy that's 200-foot player. You could put him at wing, in my opinion. He can shoot. He has a lot of offensive upside that is not untapped. I think he's having a great start of the playoffs and Mem Cup and all of this stuff. I mean, he's been extremely hot. No player has really had more ice time of views for scouts than him because they're playing so long. So I think that he's going to be, the lasting impression is very important for these people and the scouts and everybody that picks, as well as fans. If he gets that signature moment, people are going to be asking for him at 3 with the Blackhawks. I'm already on that. A lot of what fans like is the hype, in my opinion. If you get that signature clip, he might go 3, in my opinion. I think he should. Jonathan Toews-esque type, not as great personality. I think that he could be a leader of the locker room. He's a very, very funny guy. I just think that this would be a really good pick for Utah, and I know my dog disagrees, but I think that he can. He will believe in the Utah path.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about the production or the offense not like being that great for the NHL level, he's still putting up points at the same level as Nico Hischier, who was the first overall type of player, and who was basically a point per game player in the NHL right now. Like, who wouldn't take a Nico Hischier in his team right now? So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Caleb Denoyer will translate the same way that Nico did. I think Nico was more explosive, also had more soft skills, but Caleb Denoyer could be something close. It could be something between a 60, 70 points, but also play really well without the puck, which is extremely important too. So if you can bring value on both sides of the puck, like he can, I think at number 4, it would be a great pick for the Mammoth. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And it's a guy that also all season got better. Like, it's if you compare to, let's say, James Haggins did not get better as the season went on, but Caleb Denoyer did get better all season long and at a pretty fast pace. And then in the playoff, he's even better than he was in the season. And there's no point where you could have go watch Caleb Denoyer and be like, well, he's mid, he's just okay. No, it did not happen, and he's winning everywhere that he goes. And I think it's an important factor for team, and I think he will be picked much higher than some people have him.
Yeah, when Craig Button or Corey Pronman, I don't remember, but he released who would be the top players in this class in the playoffs. He had Desnoyers like 4 and James Haggins like 12 or 14, which just shows like a lot of teams are going to also pick players that they believe are going to be really good players in the playoffs. You're seeing what happened with the Leafs, the soft skill. It's the whole point. So I think people get caught up on the skills and what could contribute in the regular season. But if you're a team that is building for the playoffs, Caleb Desnoyers might be higher on a lot of teams' boards than James Haggins.
Yeah, there's Marc Bergevin, the GM from the Montreal Canadiens a couple of years ago, and also worked for Chicago. Right, was said at some point, you need players who are gonna bring you to the playoff, and you need players that are gonna get through the playoff, and that it's like that. I think like maybe Caleb Denoyer is not as offensively gifted as James Haggins or even other player like maybe Jake O'Brien, who's probably a better distributor of the puck. But in the playoff, and when you look at what he's been doing now, you can count on him. Like I said, he win everywhere that he goes, and in the playoff that he is right now, you can see what he's doing when the pressure is up, when there's less space, when there's less time. So you can bet on that player to be that kind of player who's going to get you through the playoff. So now you need a player to get you there, and then this player can get you through it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Very good points.
Yeah. Next, is it me? No,
it's me.
Yeah.
So 5 with the Nashville Predators. I think that they're going to take a center here, and I think James Haggins is just a really good fit here. I've been on the James Haggins to the Predators train for a long time if he does fall. Like I said, they paid a lot of money for Steven Stamkos. I think that if you get James Haggins in there, he plays one more year at the NCAA level, maybe get him some games at the end of the season, have him and Stamkos, rub off on James Haggins a little bit. He is a number 1 kind of potential player in this draft.
Yeah.
There's definitely a path for him to be the best player in this class 5 years down the road. It's just his vision is awesome. Playmaking is great. I think he had a really rough season not being like the complete puck handler at BC that he should have been. I mean, Gabe Perreault is the leader of that team. So I think James Haggins needs to be more of a point guard role instead of shooting guard if we're talking about basketball. But I think James Haggins is going to fit really well with the Predators. Just best player available.
Yeah. I think it's basically where he falls in every mock draft. Every mock draft that you read or you watch on YouTube or whatever, like most people have James Haggins falling to Nashville, but his fall basically is stopping there. He's not going further than that. Everybody's like a bit scared of what he can be. so I think he's going to be picked in the top 5 in my opinion. It's probably not a sure thing, but I think he will, and I think Nashville is a good fit, like you just said. So for next, at number 6, we have the Philadelphia Flyers. And last time I gave them Jake O'Brien, and I'm going to give them Jake O'Brien again.
Nice.
Because it's a fit. first, he's a center. I think he projects as a center. If he can add some meat to the bone, become a little bit more gritty in the corners and along the board, even though he's already a competitor, it's just doesn't have necessarily the strength. He needs to play with more pace, but he does. He's one of the best playmaker in the entire draft, if not the best playmaker in the entire draft. It's just that he does everything more like without his feet moving, and that's something that he's going to need to change at the NHL level to produce more offense, especially on the rush or on the counter attack. You're going to need to move your feet to create offense, which he sometimes don't do. He like to keep the puck on his stick and wait for things to open. But he has so much skill, so much soft skills, so much vision that it's just you can't pass on him at that point. He has the size; he's 6'2.5" or something like that, 170 pounds. So if you get a centerman that's like 6'2.5", around 190, 195 or something like that in 3-4 years from now, well, you get a hell of a player. So
yeah, Jake O'Brien was incredible for Brantford this year. He put a lot of points on Nick Lardis' stat line. He's an incredible playmaker, really good vision. Imagine him on the power play with Michkov. They are both geniuses offensively. I think it's going to be a superpower or a secret weapon that they have when they go to the power play. Yeah. This kid is not physically developed. Like you said, he's only 170 pounds, 6'2". He's kind of slingy. I think he has a lot of upside to grow more muscle, and then he's going to be able to just play more of a physical game too. I really like Jake O'Brien. He was a very high riser for a lot of scouts that I've talked to, as well as the community. This guy is going to be picked very, very high. I could see him getting picked higher than Porter Martone. So I just think that this is a good pick for Philadelphia, and I feel like they're getting a steal, and fans are going to love this kid.
Mm-hmm. I think Porter Martone could be a good fit too for Philadelphia. I think like if the Blackhawks don't take Porter Martone could fall a little bit. I feel like Martone is a good fit for the Blackhawks, but if they don't take him, there's a significant chance that he falls to like 6, 7, 8 or something like that.
I completely agree. There's just too many good players in this class, but Hockey Canada loves Porter Martone, so maybe he goes a lot higher than we're expecting too. There's talk about him either going to 2, 3, or like 7 or 8 or 9. Very, very weird draft class this year. It's not based on talent for Porter Martone.
There's not a lot of argument for him at 2. I think like at the beginning of the season or through the middle of the season, maybe. But now the way the season ended from the half to now, I don't see how you can argue that Porter Martone should be over Michael Misa or even above Caleb Denoyer, in my opinion. But that's. They can do whatever they want. I don't pick for them, so it's okay. And next one is Boston, and that would be your pick.
So it's going to be between 3 players, Roger McQueen, Porter Martone, and Brady Martin. I think that you can cross off Brady Martin because Porter Martone and Roger McQueen are still on the board. I think Roger McQueen is a fit for Boston. They like right-handed 6'5" centers. I think that it would be a phenomenal fit. His comp for himself is Ryan Getzlaf. I picked it last time as well.
Yeah.
But I just think Porter Martone... I just have a feeling Boston's going to take a center here, but I just have a feeling that they could take Porter Martone, just the best player available. When is the next time or the last time Boston had the 7th overall pick? I think you have to take best player available here. So I'm going to take Porter Martone, get him off the board. He's not really being mocked here a lot, so I would like the opportunity to just share. Like, Boston is incredible with their guys that aren't really physical because they have such a physical team surrounding him. So I feel like if he is in practice, he's going to learn, that you're going to need to use your body very, very quickly. Their players and coaches are going to get on him for being a little like not as rough around the corners and the boards and everything. I think that this guy has so much skill, great vision, incredible shooter, but I think that his vision is supremely underrated and his playmaking is underrated. You get this guy in your organization, you get him to Penn State if he takes that offer, get him to the NCAA level, and he's going to flourish, in my opinion. I don't see a very high bust probability with Porter Martone. I think that he is an NHL player, and I think that he has incredible hands too, and His edge work is actually pretty good, in my opinion. Like, he can turn on a dime. It's just his 3 first strides. He needs to work on his power skating. Yeah. But if you're going to the NCAA level with the practice that they do weekly, they only play 2, maybe 3 games a week. I think that you get that guy on the ice, the practice ice, all the time. It's going to help his development. So the NCAA is the place you should go.
Yeah, I agree, and it's funny that you change your mind. You basically had the same debate when we did this last Friday, but I agree that both. In my opinion, I think it's going to be chosen when they have the medicals from Roger McQueen. Mm-hmm. Like if the medicals are somewhat clean, like I said, that the injuries are not related to one another. They're not necessarily dangerous for his future or something like that. I think they would go with Roger McQueen. But if they have doubt, if the doctor is like, meh, let's not take him, then they would go with Porter Martone. It's not like the thing is the ceiling with Roger McQueen, because he's center, I think he has a higher ceiling. He's a more like a special type of player. But Porter Martone, you're not leaving much on the table. So if the injuries carry you whatsoever, just pass on the McQueen and go with Martone, and you get he projects super well to the NHL. Like you said, the first 3 steps, okay, it's maybe something that needs to be worked on, but there are many high draft pick player with size who did not have great skating or somewhat so-so skating. If you think of both Tkachuk brother, like maybe Matthew had a little bit of a better skating, but he was not a dynamic skater when he was in the OHL. It's the same thing for Brady. He was not a dynamic skater whatsoever in the NCAA in his draft year. So, I mean, the skating is something you can bring up a level. It's hard to bring it up many level. Maybe 1 level is something doable. The explosion, it's one thing. It's basically just power skating, right? It's just more strength in your leg, more technique, get deeper on your knees, and that's basically what's going to help you be more explosive. But the fact that he already does everything at speed in his head, the way that he can receive a puck and just redistribute it right away. He doesn't need to think. He doesn't need to have long touches. He can do everything very quick. It's just adding a little step to his skating to make him more like NHL average. But outside of that, I don't think there's that much that needs to be brought another level for him to be a very successful NHLer. So, and I mean, in Boston, I think he fits the idea or the prototype they're looking for. So.
Yeah, I know last time I took Roger McQueen here, we actually recorded a mock draft for everybody out there that might not know this. We recorded a mock draft, but it didn't record. So this is our 2.0 mock draft. So that's why there might be a little bit of I changed my pick, because I just think best player available for Boston. I really like Roger McQueen. His player comp, he told me, actually was Matthew Tkachuk. If he becomes one of those players, that's a very incredible value in this class.
Mm-hmm. All right. So at number 8 for the Seattle Kraken, last time we had Porter Martone. So I think they're basically just going to switch. It's like at number 8, you don't get to draft a 6'5" offensively gifted player very often that plays the center position. So even though they already have Matty Beniers and Shane Wright and Berkeley Catton, who probably projects as a center, even though he's like 5'11", even though they already have the centers can move to the wing. Winger is very more complicated for them to move to center. So I think in that case, you'd go with Roger McQueen, which is probably the best player available right now. Maybe Victor Eklund too. But outside of that, I think it's just because of the rarity of that type of player. Again, if the medicals are clean, I see Roger McQueen going to Seattle in that case, yeah.
I love this pick. I'm a big Roger McQueen guy. Like I said in our deleted video, Roger McQueen has a sports court. He plays all the sports during the summer. He has a cat named Potato. This guy is just in my opinion, a winner. He's been billet brothers with a lot of NHL players like Charlie Elick. There's just so many that he's talked to. I believe Nate Danielson was somebody that he really grew from too. So I really like Roger McQueen. I think he has one of the highest upsides in the entire class. 6'5" right-handed centers do not come very often. It is like he was built in a lab. He has incredible offensive upside and talent. The guy moves, he moonwalks on the ice. Like, when I watched this guy, I actually wrote down, like, Michael Jackson, because he reminds me of how he moved. It's just like he's gliding out there. I have no idea why. It was just like, this guy just reminds me of, he's just floating out there. There's something about him. I actually think that he is a star. I think that the back injury is really, really rough. First game, he scored 4 goals. A lot of people were saying top 3, top 5. I think that 8 is an absolute steal. So, Roger McQueen.
He was top 3, top 5 since last season. Like, most people expected him to be a top 5 player in this draft. It's really just the injury, so it really just depends how they predict it will affect his future. Because outside of that,
4.5 months.
Yeah.
So that's tough.
So yeah, it is tough. It is tough when to miss that much time when especially when you're young, then developing years. But yeah, I mean the games, not all the games that he played, but a lot of games that he played, he was dominant on the ice. He was doing his thing that he keeps doing. So yeah, I think it's a great pick for Seattle.
The director of scouting at Rec Sports, NHL Foley, Gabe Foley, he told me that people are saying that it's not a muscular back injury like Caden Lindstrom. So the back injury might be a little worse than we thought. But
Caden Lindstrom was an hernia, no?
Foley, I think, told me that it was a disc hernia. I've had one of those.
As far as I know.
Okay, so he said that it was not muscular, or maybe it was. I gotta rewatch it, but I thought that it was a different injury that they are a little more concerned about than Caden Lindstrom. But he played, and he played well. I think that if medical's clear, this guy is top.
I was saying that Caden Lindstrom, I think it was a disc hernia, what he got operated for, which is basically your disc popping out, right? And once it's done, it can come back. It's not like an hernia is an hernia. Wherever you get it, it's and after that, it's just more sensitive to come back. So but anyway, the back, whatever it is in the back, it's always dangerous, and it's always something that in pro sports it gets affected a lot. Like so.
And one thing is, I had an L4, L5 herniated disc when I was playing sports, and I actually had to quit for a very long time just because, and it still lingers no matter how much physical therapy and yoga and stretching you do. So it is a tough injury. Like, it just spasms out sometimes. You make a wrong move and a twitch, it hurts. So.
All right, so next at number 9, it's your pick.
So for number 9, I'm going to go with Victor Eklund here. I'm a really big Victor Eklund guy. I think that when I watched him play with Anton Frondel, he just popped out of the page every single time. I think that he plays a lot bigger than his 5'11" frame. He's a workhorse, in my opinion. He's not afraid to go anywhere on the ice. He will go to the middle of the ice and get hit to make a play. I think his vision and offensive skill is really great. I think that this would be a steal for Victor Eklund. He's very high on my board, and he has the blood relations with William Eklund, which is a star, in my opinion, for the Sharks. I think that Victor Eklund might be also a star. He's 160 pounds, but he plays like he's 200, in my opinion. So if he adds and builds to that frame, this kid's going to be really good.
I don't know how you can be 160 pounds and 5'11" at he's on the older side, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a November birthday, right? It's not like a June birthday or something like that. So it is what it is. But he's playing well, even if he's 5'11" and 161 pounds. He's playing against men. He's playing in a competitive league. Yes, it's the second division in Sweden, so it's not as good as the SHL, but it's still a very good league. Still a very good development league too, and he has a prominent role on the team. So, I mean, at that point, it's something that you have to take into consideration. But is it really something that's a knock on him? At that point, I would say no, because he's dynamic with the puck, but he's such a competitor. He's not afraid to go in traffic. He's not afraid to go in the corners. He wins his battle along the board. He gets the puck. He hunts players down to get the puck back. Like he's going to do the same thing in the NHL. And yes, players are going to be faster. Yes, players are going to be stronger and bigger, but he's going to get heavier too. Like Nick Suzuki is 5'11", but he's 5'11", 210 pounds, so it's not the same thing. But there are some 5'11" player who can really play, and it's absolutely no issue. So I think he's that kind of player because he has that dog attitude of like, I want my bone.
Yeah.
So yeah, good pick. It's a bit like I was saying last time we did this, like. It's a bit redundant because they already have a lot of 6 foot to 5'11" player that they already took, like Konstantinas, and even in the NHL they have Yuri Kulik. They also have Zach Benson, who's another super competitive, super talented player, but he's like 5'9", 5'10", doesn't skate great too, so it's different. But they have Noah Olsen. They have all kinds of player of that frame, of that type of player. So, but I think that Victor Eklund is a little notch above those players. So, I'm on board with the pick. It's just, I think it would be funny because it's what they pick every single year. So, and I'd be like, yeah, it's another one.
I think he has like star potential to what they usually pick. And if this is the year that they change up their draft strategy, I think it would be the wrong year, because trade some of those guys because they don't have the star potential that Victor Eklund does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the best of those smallish player. Even Konstantinas, like most people had some kind of doubt about Konstantinas last season. By the end of it, even though he did good at the U18, if I remember well, at the U18 he was just okay. He was not dominant whatsoever. He didn't finish the year as well as we wanted to, but he does have some skills. He's competitive. He's like 5'11", maybe 6 foot, something like that. But Victor Eklund is more dynamic, is faster. He's more aggressive. He's more like a hunter for the puck and getting the puck to the inside. It's a different type of player. It's the same frame, but that is the only similarity between these two is the frame. So
yeah. That is true.
All right. So next at number 10, and that number 10, it's the Anaheim Ducks, your sweater. So
Hawks fans are going to get on me in the comments. The Hawks fans, they're going to be like, what are you doing? What is that?
Yeah. And I'm going to go with the exact same pick as I went last time. And it's going to be Radomirka. I'm not sure if Radomirka is going to get through Seattle and get through Buffalo. Two teams who would probably be in a position to pick a right shot defenseman. It's just that the right shot defenseman this season that's high in the draft is Radomirka. It's it's okay, but it's not fantastic. So he's a good player. I think there's maybe they're leaving a little bit of talent on the board because I think Carter Bear is a better player than Radomirka is going to be. But he fills a hole that they have. They don't have any kind of right shot defenseman to play in that top four of the future. Like their defense, they have Jackson Lacombe, that's his name, the new first pair defenseman that was never a first pair defenseman before. They have Mintyukov, they have Zellweger. Like they don't have any high end player who's going to play in that top four on the right side. So even if they can move a lefty to the right side, it's not the same thing. And you can be somewhat certain that Radomirka is going to be playing at least it's probably a ceiling too, but on a second pair. And it's going to be able to provide a little bit of offense, a little bit of transition, and be very good on the defensive part of the game type of player that's going to elevate your team in the playoff. So even though they leave a little bit of talent on the board, it's not that much, and he fills a hole. So I would go with Radomirka here.
Radomirka told me that his player comp for himself is Moritz Seider. I would love that for him. Well, he is somebody that has a lot of offensive skill that is kind of untapped. You kind of saw that whenever he gets going, he dangles through a couple defenders, and then he just makes a special play like he did like he did in the tournament for Czech. He wants to be the best Czech defender of all time. I think that there's a really good shot that he does do that 6'6" with that much kind of skill. I think that there's more. He is a good size frame, almost 200 pounds, and he did put up some good stats in Seattle. So I think Seattle could keep him in town, but if he does fall and there is 9 or 10, I think he is going to get scooped up. I think he's the second best defender in this entire class. I know some people have Jackson Smith, but I have a lot of question marks towards him. I see Radomirka as being at least a top 4 defenseman in your core. I think that he's somebody that won't be a 5 or a 6, but if he was, he's going to be a really good upside play for a contender at 5 or 6. I think this guy has a lot of good upside and traits that you can start to cross off a need on your team with Radomirka. I don't think that he's going to bust, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but he's been playing with pros since he was very young in the Czech League. So I think that this is a really good pick. And Carter Bear is one of my favorite players in this class. So that injury with the lacerated Achilles, he dodged a very good bullet. He's already skating. I think I got to talk to him. My dog loves him, but my dog's name is Bear. So he's like, what is going on? But the thing is, I think Radomirka is a really good pick here. And 2 defensemen always go in the top 10 for the last 15 years.
Do you think Radomirka has a ceiling as a number 2, something like that, or you don't really see that happening?
I think that you can put him say the Canucks draft him, and then they want him with Quinn Hughes for a year or 2. I don't know how long Quinn Hughes' tenure is going to be there. He could be a second pair, or he could be the second pair power play quarterback for their team, and also be the first line player with a Quinn Hughes type if they grow chemistry. I think that they would actually be terrific together, but I don't think that he's a number 1 defenseman. I think that the time on ice, he would be a minute muncher. I think he would gain trust a lot, so I could totally see him being a top-line pair, but I don't think it's going to be the highest of ends top-line pair, and he's going to be a complementary piece.
Yeah, I agree. If he ends up on the first pair, it's kind of by default being the guy who stays behind a little bit, make sure that if the rush breaks down or something like that, they're not stuck with no defense behind. Obviously, if you pair him with a Quinn Hughes is going to be the guy who does most of the breakout, most of the transition, most of the offense once the blue line is crossed. And I dove deeper on him a little bit this weekend and a little bit in the last week too, because I'm doing a scouting report on him this week, and I think his game is hit and miss. You see the flashes of what he can be. It's not consistent, and there's significant work for him to get to together on a consistent basis. But he tries stuff. He in transition on the breakout or even in the offensive line. Once he passed the offensive blue line, he does try to do stuff. There are flashes of some dynamism with the puck, but it's really hit and miss. So. I couldn't see him as a first pair, not necessarily driver, but a guy that really belongs on a first pair. But I can see him, like you said, if he's with a Quinn Hughes or something like that, then he can insulate that guy that's a little bit more risky, that jumps into play a little bit more, and he's the one who stays behind and provide most of the defense.
Imagine him with Elaine Hudson, because you have the length, you have the width span, or the width span, and he's going to be able to recover for Lane Hudson if Lane Hudson is trying to go top, a joystick type of Bo Jackson type of rush that he has. Yeah. Lane Hudson is one of my favorite players in the entire NHL under 23. He just is so good. I think that if you get somebody like him or a Logan Hensler, which I see is very similar type of players when you watch the tape, except Mirka has that size, then Logan Hensler or Radomirka would be pretty good for Lane Hudson. You're the Cabs guy, so you can feel free to disagree with me, but someone like a left-handed defenseman like that would be a really good pair for Mirka.
Yeah, well, for sure. Like I said, it's the same example as the Quinn Hughes. I think it's part of the reason why they went and acquired what's his name, David Rembacher at the 5th overall. Yeah, they probably they didn't want Mishkov or something like that, or they think there was too much risk. But like they grabbed Radomirka because they knew they saw what Hudson was doing. They're like, they're gonna need somebody to insulate him. It's like like at some point when you put that much offense in the NCAA, you're at least gonna try to make him play in the NHL, and there was a chance that it's going to work. And if it worked, well, he was going to need somebody to insulate him in the NHL, and that player is probably going to be David Radomirka in the long term. Maybe not right now, but in a couple years from now. So yeah, like I said, I can see it happen with like a more dynamic player, but I don't think he will bring most of the offense himself. So next pick is Pittsburgh at number 11.
For Pittsburgh here, I'm going to go with Carter Bear. I really like Carter Bear. He told me his player comp was Brandon Hagel. I can't get that out of my head. Somebody that his hard skill, he's going to be a workhorse. He can drive, play, in my opinion, as a complementary role, though. I think that this guy could be a top pair player or a top line player like a Brandon Hagel, where it's like he's probably might be the third most skilled person on that top line. But if he hits, it's going to be because he outworks a lot of people. In my opinion, I think that Carter Bear has a lot of offensive upside that is untapped too, and the lacerated Achilles injury, which I said he's skating, is not going to hurt him as much because he wasn't like a Cullen Potter, who is such a good skater. It's not basically about his skating. If it was like an Oliver Moore that got a lacerated Achilles, I think he would have been out of the first round. That's not kind of Carter Bear's game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's one of the reasons why I think he will still go pretty high, at least probably in the first half of the first round, in my opinion. There's a chance that he drops maybe to 16. Who knows?
I can totally see that. I could totally see that.
I would love it the Habs could grab him at number 16, but I think, like you said, because his game doesn't revolve around speed, doesn't revolve around his skating, yes, it will affect him for now. It's possible that it comes back 100% and like it's basically has no impact on his career whatsoever. But his game was never about speed. It was never about like transitioning the puck end to end on his own and burning everybody, like you said, like a Cullen Potter or something like that. It's not his game. So yeah, it's basically a non-factor. Not exactly a non-factor, but it's close to that, in my opinion. He doesn't agree. So
my dog is on a generational run this video.
Yeah, it's okay. Mine are sleeping. They're both right there behind me, and they're sleeping. So
a quick story about Carter Bear, when I was interviewing him, my dogs kept doing that, and his dog started howling. So when I asked him about what his biggest strength on the ice is, he started answering, and then you heard like 4 dogs, because 2 on my end and 2 on his end probably, just started howling.
Oh,
and I was just like, this is an awesome... We just started cracking up because there's really nothing you could do. We had to wait it out. It's like a train. Like, it's just like it's like a freight train. You gotta let it pass. So we had a cool moment there. He's a really cool guy. I also, quickly on him, I asked him who he would want to play him in a movie, and he said Leonardo DiCaprio, but the pronunciation was a little off, so I thought it was hilarious. And I just think that this guy's awesome. Very down-to-earth, one of the most down-to-earth players. He did not think he was going to be in this position 2 years ago. He was a high riser, if we're talking about this kind of draft class, 2 years out. So him playing with Landon DuPont, there's a ton of upside there too. I think that Carter Bear is just someone you want on your team. And I would love it if he went to 16, because a lot of my friends in this space are Habs fans.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all about his work ethic, so he definitely deserve it to be to have that kind of pedigree, to have that kind of chance to be drafted in the NHL in the first round. I think he 100% deserves it. So next pick is it's Pittsburgh or the Rangers.
This is 12, which last time we were consensusly having one person here.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to do the same thing where it's going to be the Rangers, because I doubt they will give away a top 12 pick. That would be ridiculous. I don't think they're that bad of a team that they will pick top 12 next year too. So for the Rangers would go with Brady Martin, a player that is probably a little bit what they're looking for. Like I was saying last time, since that Panarin incident, they've been like trying to get more physical, trying to get a little bit more nasty, and Brady Martin brings that. You say that in spade? Is that how you say that in English? Yeah. He brings that in
spades.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm getting good.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, and it doesn't bring just that. That's the thing. It's like you pick a Brady Martin, you're kind of picking a smaller version of Tom Wilson. Not in the sense that he's going to fight, because I don't think he's going to be that much of a fighter in the NHL. And it's not that much of a factor anyway in the NHL. It's more about the physicality and the after whistle, stuff that he does. But he also brings skills. Like, it's not just hitting people and trying to destroy everything on his route. It's what he brings in terms of skills, in terms of finishing around the net, in terms of hands. He can play in traffic. He can dangle around player. He doesn't attack player one-on-one too often, but when he does, he's often successful, which is a good indication of good hands. That's going to translate to the NHL. So he can play in space. He can play without space. He's the type of player that's going to elevate your team in the playoff with big hits. Yeah. And I mean, even if he's not hitting somebody, when somebody wants to hit him, well, he gets through that player. It's crazy. Like, it's not only a good hitter, it's just that even when people try to hit him and he's on his way, he keeps going through and he gets through the player trying to hit him. And I think he's just an impressive player. I don't think anybody thought he would go that high when, even just a couple months ago. Before the U18s, I don't think anybody thought that Brady Martin was going to be like a top 12 pick or something like that. But what he showed at the U18 is basically what he's been doing all year. So it's not just now people are more aware what Brady Martin has been doing all this time. So number 12, Brady Martin, I think it's a really good pick, and I will not like it.
Yeah. I think regardless if this is Pittsburgh or the Rangers, I think the pick here is 12, Brady Martin, because Brady Martin is just somebody that he's not going to fall past 13, in my opinion, to the Red Wings. Brady Martin is a player that is shot upwards. He hits like he's 300 pounds and he's 174 pounds. This guy has a lot of upside to be that Tom Wilson-esque player, just with a little more offensive ability. I can totally see him being a middle six player, but if you want him on your top line to protect one of your superstars, I could totally see that too. I think that he's going to be the perfect playoff player. During times like this, the NHL draft is very interesting because it happens like 5 or 6 or the same week that the Stanley Cup Finals ends, depending on if it's a long series or not. Mm-hmm. The NFL playoffs, it ends like 3 months, and then it's the draft. So it's already in people's heads. It's not talking about the regular season. They just watched what's going to succeed in the Stanley Cup Finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs. Brady Martin is that guy. I could totally see him even going 7 here to the Bruins. This is a weird draft, but Brady Martin is deserving of a top 10 pick, in my opinion. He falls because of just the amount of stars in this class, like the upside-wise, or what happened with a lot of these players. But in my opinion, like, he is one of those guys that could go 7, 8, 9, 10. If a team falls in love with him as that playoff guy, he is going higher than expected.
Well, I think you can definitely put him like in the same conversation with player like Carter Bear and other players like Radomirka, Victor Eklund, even Roger McQueen to a certain extent. Like, he fits into that conversation. So yes, I think he could go higher than that. And because people, like you said, are watching the playoff and they've been seeing what Sam Bennett is doing on the ice and just scoring goals and destroying everything that moves, and then you have like Ekblad coming in with a few flying elbows. So people are seeing the physicality of the NHL, and they're seeing basically Florida doing it year after year, 3 years in a row, and it looks like they're going to go to the Stanley Cup final for a 3rd year in a row. And they've been doing it the same way the 3 years. Like, they are a physical team. They are a heavy team. They are annoying to play against. Like, the Habs won all their game against them in the season, but I don't think they would have won a single game against them in the playoff. It's just a different environment, and Brady Martin will bring that type of player, like the Sam Bennett. I don't know if he's going to score as much or the same type of production. That's not what I'm saying, but the same type of physicality and just being annoying and hard to play against while putting up some points on the board too.
Really well said. Yeah, really well said. And Sam Bennett was a top pick for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So next it's Detroit at number 13, and that is your turn.
Detroit here, It's an interesting one because I think I said Linden Lakovich last time because it's going to be an interesting pick for Stevie Y. And I think I'm still going to go Linden Lakovich. He's somebody that played really well in the WHL for the Moose Jaws in their championship run the last year. They didn't really have the best year. This year, he's 6'4". He grew a ton. Still could fill out his frame. He has no idea how to play with that body, and he said that. He is just trying to learn how to do that. He said that he's going in with the mindset of trying to learn more every day, get 1% better. I think that a team that's getting Linden Lakovich is getting somebody that's going to work really hard, trying to be more physical. When he first came into the WHL, he was just trying to dangle every single defender or every single forward. Now he's learning how to play that 200-foot game. I think that he is really starting to show that. He got better during games later in the season as well. After he came back from injury, I was very impressed. He is a leader of this team. I think that Linden Lakovich is somebody that a team is going to get a steal on. He's very productive in the WHL too, and I think that he has that offensive ability and scoring prowess to be kind of a top 6 player for a team. And I think that he also has a little star potential. I would say probably like a 35% chance he is a star, which is higher than I usually give just because of the amount of size and kind of Beckett Seneca-esque growth spurt in his arsenal.
And I agree. It's one of those players in this range that does have the star factor. Like how much I don't know if I can put a number on it, but I think there's a chance if we compare that to other players, like most players from here on out, I don't think there is chance for a star player outside of maybe Justyn, Carbonneau, something like that. But then Lakovich has that size factor. He can fly on the ice in transition. Maybe the skating's not always clean, but most of the time he's a very, very good skater. He does have a lot of soft skills, and for him, it's all about learning how to use his body. So like you said, like he grew up late and he grew up a lot at the same time. Needs a lot of adaptation. Like for somebody normal like me and you, it's one thing. For somebody who's playing at a high level night after night, it's a different thing. You got to adapt everything. You're changing your stick size. You're changing everything. So it's a lot of adaptation, and you got to learn to, now you have a new element in your game that you need to learn how to use. And you got to learn how to lean on players to get to the inside or when you cut wide or something like that. So there is work to be done, but the ceiling with Lakovich is pretty high in my opinion, and that would be a great pick, even though I don't think it's their style at all. Like they don't go for that type of player. He makes me think a little bit of Kirby Dach in the sense that he had that same type of frame, same type of skill, but Kirby Dach didn't find out, at least as of right now, how to put it all together. Well, maybe Lakovich doesn't too, but if he does, there's big time potential.
This might be a hot take, but I think Linden Lakovich might have a little more offensive potential than Kirby Dach. I think Kirby Dach might have been more of an all-around player, and injuries have just hurt him. I was not really a fan of the Kirby Dach at 3 overall. I thought there was much better options. I was with my friends, and they had to calm me down. Like, it was 2019. I was just like, what are we doing? But, we got Frank Nazar out of it. I think the Habs have a really good player. I think Kirby Dach just has been
He has
really
to stay
hurt.
healthy. If he stays healthy, comes in better shape at training camp, I think we got a real player, a useful player, a player that can play on the top 6. If it's not a center, it's going to be on the wing, but still a 6'4" wing. And when he wants to compete, he's competitive. Like he was more competitive in the not a training camp, but the preseason that he was in this season. But there are spurts in his career where you can see a very good top 6 competitive 6'4" guy who can make plays, can skate well. So it's there. It's just, can he find it back? That's the bigger question with Kirby Dach. But I do agree that, like, if it works out, I would be happy. I'm just not counting on it because he's been injured too much. But I think there's still a real player in there. Yeah.
In a mini story time just on Kirby Dach, obviously he tore his ACL against the Blackhawks, really bad play. But before, when he broke his wrist, the Blackhawks actually didn't want him to go to that tournament, and he talked us into it. And then he just laid a hit. It was a standard play. It ended up breaking his wrist, and it really never healed the same way. And it caused a ripple in his development. So in another universe, there's a Kirby Doc that's a star probably. I think that there's a lot more upside in his game. You just got to give him time. He's had a rough start to his career, though.
Yeah, true. All right, so next one, we are at, where? Number 14, so that would be me. Last time at number 14, I had Jackson Smith, and it's going to be Jackson Smith again. I think he's going to fall a little bit on draft night, but I think that's about as far as he's going to fall, because it's a 6'3" defenseman who can bring offense, who projects to be able to defend at the NHL level, even though right now it's not always clean, it's not always consistent. But he does have offense. He's a great skater. He has big frame. He needs to learn how to, a bit like Lakovich, basically. He needs to learn how to play with his body, to be more assertive with the puck, be more assertive with his body, lock players along the wall, be physical, clear the net when you need to clear the net, like do all the things that big defensemen can do. If he can bring that up a notch, bring that his assertiveness, let's say, up a notch, and he can keep doing what he's doing offensively, I think there's a real player in there. It's a question if he can do it consistently, and that's for the main part. But I think he's a great fit for Columbus at number 14.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I think Columbus is getting a really good player here. I really like Adam Fantilli, and I really like their entire prospect pool. So there's not really much I could say over this pick, but yeah, you're very good at this.
It's my second time, that's fine. Jackson Smith. So there you go. So next, after Jackson Smith, we are where? I'm trying to follow too many places
15.
at the same time. Yeah, 15. So that would be your pick, yeah.
So a lot of the players that I was going to pick here just fell off the board, but I will say, I'm going to go say, ooh.
Stop it.
I was going to say the guy that I went last time, but I know you're a Habs fan.
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I would. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go with. No, I'm going to go with Logan Hensler here, actually. I think that Logan Hensler would be a really cool fit here. I think that they need to replenish as much of their defense as possible in the next 2 to 3 years, if anything goes on. I think it's always a good time to pick somebody that had top 10 ability, but didn't... it's super high. And I think that Logan Hensler at one time for me was top 10 in this class. He just went to the NCAA, in my opinion, a year early. He was one of those guys that was the youngest player in the entire NCAA, but he was second amongst points with U19 defensemen. I think he was the second best player in this entire draft in the NCAA, other than James Haggins as a freshman. I think that he was the youngest player on his team at Wisconsin, and his player comp is a right-handed Jake Sanderson. If you could get somebody with that offensive ability that is very untapped and his playmaking is really good, as well as stable defenseman, I think that you are getting like a lower end but higher upside, in my opinion, of like a David Reinbacher. Like he is, that might cause a stir, but you're getting a guy that has a lot of chance to be a top 4 defenseman immediately, and if similarly with Radomirka, if he hits, he could be a top pair complementary piece, and maybe somebody that you can quarterback a power play too. So I just think that there's a lot of upside in Logan Hensler's game, even though he's 196. He's kind of built a little bit. He's a more stronger physical defenseman. I think that he can be, even though I think he could be more physical, but I think he's a playoff defenseman, so I feel like during this time it would be a good fit because the Canucks are right there, in my opinion. I know that they might be turning in the wrong direction, but defensemen last 2-3 years. So is a 23-year-old Logan defenseman going to help the Canucks? I actually agree. I think so.
Yeah, and at that point, you're somewhere in the draft where there's like a big chunk of players who have basically the same value on draft night, and then it's just projecting them into your lineup. And Logan Hensler is probably one of the players that the Habs would have taken at number 16 or 17 because he fits that. Well, he's somebody that's going to be picked within that range, but it's also a guy that would fill a need. So I would completely understand. And for the Canucks, it's like it would give them like Tom Villander and Logan Hensler on the right side for the future, which is like it's not great, but it's good. So you know, like you're gonna have there's a fair chance that those two players are top forward players. So one might be on the first pair with a more dynamic player, and the other one's gonna be anchoring the second pair. But they're both capable player, both great skater. Tom Villander is a great skater too. So yeah, it's gonna give them a lot of skating on the back end. Then and it's a hard position to fill with prospects. So I think it's a great pick for Vancouver. So at number 16, it would be the Habs, obviously, like I just said. And at that point, well, I would go Justyn Carbonneau. Not to be cheesy. It's just because I've had Justyn Carbonneau in my top 10 for most of the season. He came out of the top 10 recently because some players like jumped over him. Not necessarily because he was bad or he was doing something wrong. There hasn't been a ton of progression in his game this season, but I think that as long as he's in junior, there's not gonna be a ton of progression in his game. He just has all the skills in the world. He has the skating, he has the shot, he has some playmaking, he has great hands, he has some vision when he wants to. It's just about the hero puck type of game that he needs to clean out the decision making. He needs to clean out right now, he needs the puck too much on his stick to make things happen. So he needs to be able to work without the puck and create plays without the puck. So it's a couple of things to work with, but the potential, he's one of the only player left that has really serious potential to play up the lineup. Like, I'm not willing to say he's a first line winger, but there's a chance that he's a first line winger. He has that kind of skill. It's just, can he put it all together? That is the bigger question. Like, in terms of production, he's like 0.01 or 0.02 behind Caleb Denoyer in terms of production. He has like 46 goals on the season, so he can score, he can make plays, he can skate, he can play in traffic. He's 6'1", almost 200 pounds. So he's the whole package. It's just about polishing the diamond in the rough.
Yeah. Well said. If he puts it all together, this guy's going to be a real threat to become one of the stars in the mid picks. And we see it every year. Somebody isn't picked where they should be. In a redraft, I think this guy could go top 10. He is one of the best shooters in the entire class, if not the best. Him and Anton Frundell, I think, are in a different tier than everybody else. I think Carbonneau has a ton of offensive weapons, like ability, not on his team, because he actually got on his teammates, because they left points off the board on his stat line. His stat line should have been a lot better. He might have, if he had actual teammates that thought the game similarly than him, this guy could have been a 100-point player in the queue. He's a Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan-esque mentality where if you're not seeing the game at his level, he is going to tell you about it, but not in a bad way. Like, this means that he's very competitive. It means that he's trying to he has a standard, and he wants everybody else to get to that standard. And I think that when you're a team that wants to win playoff games, you're going to want a guy like this. He's not afraid to tell you. He's the best player on his team by far, but he wants everybody else around him to get better too and see the game how he sees it. He has very high offensive IQ and high hockey IQ just in general. This guy can shoot at any angle. He could be falling. He could shoot. Shout out Link and Gabe Foley, because they were the ones that kind of explained that to me. Like, he can shoot from any angle. Like, in my opinion, this guy is just a triple threat when he's shooting. It's not Bedard-esque, but it's like very close. Like, I think that he could be a player that shocks the entire world, in my opinion. He also could be a player that shocks the entire world based on where he's drafted. He could go very high. If they see him how people that I talk to see him, he could go in the top 10.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's enough depth in the top 10 for him not to go there unless somebody like prefers him over like an Eklund or Brady Martin's injuries. Roger McQueen injuries. No, I was talking about Roger McQueen. Let's say Roger McQueen's injury is more serious than we thought. Then it opens up some space. But like, in terms of, there's not many player with that level of skill and so many skill. It's not just the shot. He has a little bit of everything that don't make it. Like, usually even the one with a lot of flaws, let's say, like Anthony Duclair in his draft year. He had a lot of skills, but a lot of flaws too, and he still made it. Is he the player you want on your team if you're going to compete in the playoff? I'm not sure about that, but like Justyn Carbonneau is also much more than that. So I think that there's a real potential with him, like his catch and release, like you were saying, shooting from any angle, and it's not just like when he's static. When he's in motion, the way he catches the puck and release it right away, like he can really grab it from anywhere behind his body, across his body, any position, and he's gonna release it. He's gonna release a freaking laser. So, and the only other player that I see that has the same type of catch and release, and like you would think it's Anton Frandel, but I don't think so. I think Anton Frandel has the most explosive one-timer in the draft, but the rest of his shot is still very, very heavy, but I don't think it's at the same level as Justyn Carbonneau. But Porter Martone has one of the best, like close to Justyn Carbonneau in terms of catch and release. Maybe not the rest of the shooting arsenal, but the catch and release, the way he catches in stride and release it right away, top cheese, like with so much power behind it, so much precision behind it, that it's very similar. And yeah, I don't know why I'm saying that, but I
it's
think
a great point.
I think Justyn Carbonneau is really good, and it would be a great pick. And it's also because the Habs, they don't really necessarily need depth. They need player that will play up in the lineup, and he's a player that give you that chance. So that's why I took him there.
Yeah. The Habs are one of the scariest teams on paper for the next 10 years. I could see them becoming a dynasty. They got basically 2 number 1 picks in that class with Lane Hudson and Slavkovsky. Mm-hmm. You picked Ivan Demidov for free, basically. David Reinbacher was a pick that was... It should have been Mitchkov, in my opinion, but since you got Reinbacher, it allowed you to get Ivan Demidov. So I just think that they built the exact right way. You guys have 3 third-round picks that you can trade up for. So I just think like 79 through 83, out of those 4 picks, you have 3 of them back-to-back, spaced back. So I just think that the Habs have so much they could do here. Go highest upside available with one of these picks. If Carter Bear is there, take him. If Justyn Carbonneau is there, take him.
I would love that. The only 2 players that I can see falling there are basically Carter Bear and Justyn Carbonneau. If one of those 2 are there, I mean, great. I hope they love it. They love him and they pick them. But if it was me, I'd package like both my first round, both my second round if they want, and try to get as high as possible to grab either a Martone or a McQueen. You need another team that wants to dance to do that, obviously. So maybe not every team is going to want to do that. But if you can package a 16, a 17, a like 43 and a 49 or something like that, you can still get pretty high up in the draft, especially in this draft. And I think we could get a player that's more the exact type that we need, but they do what they want.
The Habs are going to make a splash. That is my prediction for this draft. If you're a Habs fan and you rewatch like draft ranking videos or like who had the best class, the Habs are going to have the best class, in my opinion. They're going to be the star of the show, in my opinion.
I would love that.
And at 17, I think they're going to get a fantastic player here. And I don't think that it's going to be a redundant pick. I think that Malcolm Spence is just so good, in my opinion, that you pair him up, if they don't package this or trade it for a young player, which I could totally see that happening. But if you get Malcolm Spence, in my opinion, with him going to Michigan, they already took a guy named Michael Hage that went to Michigan, and it did really good for his development. And that's somebody that we haven't even talked about with their player prospect pool. So Malcolm Spence is one of those guys that just like, he had a fantastic season as a leader in Erie. He is a really good personality, one of the best personalities of players that I've interviewed. He wants to be a Carter Verhaeghe, which you see how he's doing in the playoffs. Like Malcolm Spence to me is a top 9 player that has top 6 upside, maybe not on the Habs, but if you get him on your third line, I think that would be incredible. I think he'd be one of the best third line players that the Habs have had for a very long time. You're just trying to build up the depth there. because you just took high upside with Carbonneau, and I think that Malcolm Spence going to Michigan is going to help his development a lot.
Yeah, I think it would be a great pick in the sense that he's the type of player they probably need because he's super duper competitive. He's physical. He's always, you watch him on the ice, and he always look like he's giving 200%. Like he's never just floating or like just hitting you, but softly. Like now everything is done like at maximum speed, maximum level of effort. So that's something that like every team loves. So I think Malcolm Spence is a great fit there. The only reason why I'm not sure it would be something that would happen is because there is no centers in both picks. Like they're basically two wingers, and the only center that we have that might project as a top 6 player is Michael Hage. And that is if he sticks at center, which is not a given. So that would mean that they would need to acquire a future top 6 center through trade or through free agency or something like that. So I think because of that, they would not go with 2 wingers back to back. But at the same time, if they have a plan for another center, I'm perfectly fine because I would be very happy with the dynamite of Justyn Carbonneau, but the playoff like ready type of style, physicality of Malcolm Spence and the two-way game that he brings too. So that would be a great draft. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really good point, honestly.
So you want to change your pick? No. So next it's me at number 18, Calgary. What did I give last time? Last time was Kaishan Aitchison, and yeah, why not? I think it's a great pick, especially a team that drafted so much high-end talent last year. Not all players that will play. Like maybe like Henry Muse. Henry Muse is a player that was picked by them, if I'm not mistaken. Super uber talented, but is he going to be an NHL player? That's still a question in my opinion. But they also took Zane Perek very high in the draft. And this one is going to play. But they're going to probably need somebody who can play on his side. And I think a guy like K-Shawn Aitchison, like he doesn't have, it's the same scenario of a Logan Hensler or Radomirka, a player that can play up the lineup by default, being the insulator, being the player that's more a little bit laid back. Even though he has offense in the CHL, I don't think most of it will translate. I think we'll be able to put some points on the board. Like you don't get those numbers without being capable of putting points in the NHL. But I don't think it will be his primary game. He's not like a power play quarterback or anything like that. That's not going to be what it's going to be at the NHL. But he's going to be that guy who's physical, that guy who defends, that guy who clears the net, while Zane Perek can take the puck from the deep and do his thing and bring him some offense. So I think it would be a great pick and a great fit for the future. And they already have a lot of right shot defensemen, so don't need another one, but maybe to build that left side a little bit. So yeah.
You know, when I watch Kaishan Aitchison, I don't see a player that scores 26 goals in an OHL season and is basically 6 goals away from tapping Malcolm Spence's goal total, which was 32. But the thing is, I don't think a lot of those goals and assists are translatable, but it's not a knock on him. When you get that many points and you record that many points while also be a stable defender who continued to play incredible during the season as it continued to go on and does have size and has the weight on him, I think that that's going to be a top 4 player and a top 4 pair with like offensive upside. I think that he sees the game really, really well. You can't get 59 points in 64 games, almost a point per game player, while also scoring 26 goals without having that offensive ability. Like,
it's not just because it's September birthday. It happens because he has the skills to do it.
Yeah. I was very impressed with his game, and his tape is awesome to watch. It's kind of like, I don't see a forward, like a fourth forward out there, but that's the reason why it's so interesting that he scored so many points. Like, he just got it done. He got it done defensively. I think that Calgary, they need a lot of help in their prospect pool. I think they have the only real position that's solidified is Dustin Wolf at goalie. Everything else that they can add to, I think that this would be a fantastic get because he's the best defenseman available left, in my opinion. maybe Cameron Reed, but K-Shawn Aitchison.
Very different.
Yeah.
It depends
if they want a
which
different
one.
type of tee, yeah.
Yeah,
K-Shawn
like I was saying last time, I think Kaishan Acheson makes me think of a player like Caden Gooley, because like not the same level of skating, but the same type of intensity and the same type of maybe Kaishan Acheson has a little bit more offense. Maybe he brings like 30, maybe up to 35 points, something like that. I don't see a guy that's going to be scoring 40 and 50 points in the NHL. But if he can get up to 30, 35, plus his physicality, plus his competitiveness, plus, I mean, you get a very solid player. And at number 18, it's really good. But basically, it's like a goalie. We got him at number 16, if I'm not mistaken. So it's the same type of tier. And I think he projected the same type of player, too.
And the last thing on Kaishan Aitchison is when I was looking at the Blackhawks odds to pick number 3 overall, it was every single player that we've included, like Porter Martone, like Misa, Haggins, but Kaishan Aitchison had one of the top 7 odds to go number 3 overall. So that shocked me. There was no other defenseman other than Matthew Schaefer on there. So he might go a lot higher than we think. Books always have more inside information than everybody else because it's based on money. So the fact that Porter Martone was plus 1,500 and to go to the Blackhawks, and Kaishan Aitchison was right around there, maybe plus 1,600, it was crazy to see that. I think that there is serious potential for Kaishan Aitchison to be the second defenseman off the board, and I would be shocked, but I think it's something people need to start thinking about.
Yeah, I think he's in there, and he's in the conversation for sure. He's not going to be like the one left out of Logan, Hensler, and Radomirka and Jackson Smith. It's just he brings a different type of defense altogether, different type of intensity in the game. It's just maybe he's a little bit less projectable because he's not the most consistent defensively, even though that's going to be his bread and butter at the NHL level. But yeah, I think there's a fair chance that he's going to be picked higher than where we have him right now. But if Calgary can get him at number 18, it's great because I don't think the Blackhawks fan would be happy to have him at number 3. Just saying.
No. I will be at the draft. I will run to the podium and say, never mind. And it's going to create a scene. But
right, so
for 19 with the Blues, this is a crazy one because I like Braden Kutz. He's one of my players. I know a lot of people are spread out on what could happen after pick 16 or 17. Probably there's a pool of players like we've talked about that could be picked anywhere in this range, and I just think that Braden Kutz brings a 200-foot game. He brings leadership. He was Captain Kutz at Hockey Canada. They won gold. They brought it home, beating Sweden's Avenger team that they built up with so many guys. Like, take a look at that roster for Sweden. It is absolutely incredible. So, Braden Kutz is one of those guys that played in Seattle. Radomirka said it was the best player he's ever played with, and he played with professional men at Czech. This guy is legit. I think that he's going to be a top 9 stand for years, like 10, 15 years. He's just one of those guys that I just see as so projectable in the NHL. You could see he plays a 200-foot game. His transition game is good. His defense is good. I really like his upside offensively. I don't think that he's going to put up 80-plus points or 70-plus points, but I think that he could be a very complementary piece to 2 really good forwards. So I think that getting him at 19 is pretty good value.
Yeah, and basically I had him for the Habs at number 16 in the last mock draft. So I mean, he fits in that tier, and he has maybe a little bit more potential than a lot of people say. I think there's a chance that he's a top 6 player. I'm not sure it's a given, but even if he's not, he's going to be an extremely solid middle 6 centerman in the NHL. He's not small. He's average size at 6 foot, 100 and around 85 pounds or something like that. So he's heavy enough, big enough, and he skates well. He has good hands. He has a good shot. He has good vision and playmaking skills. He does everything well, but he's just as good off the puck as he is on the puck. So those are a valuable player. I don't think it's a player that will fall much further than that. I know there's a lot of ranking who have them like in the 20s and even some past 25 and something like that. We have to take into consideration where he played. And I think it's a big factor of the production. And when you saw him at the U18, he was just really, really good. He was basically the anchor of the team, and I think he would be a great pick. It's a good place to have him, and I could see him get higher than that too.
His player count for himself was Braden Point, I think, keeping with the Bradens. And also the last fact about him is he goes to Chipotle every single day. That just shows me consistency. He's going to continue to eat protein and gain muscle when you're going to Chipotle. I think that we're going to see he could either be a 200-pound Braden Kutz or he's going to be very, very muscular. Oh, no, but yeah. I like Braden Kutz a lot, so those are my two picks.
Eat your chicken.
Yeah. He gets the double meat option, too, so that's good.
Okay. Next is 20. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets. And last time I gave them Jack Nesbet, and I still love that fit. They are a team that love their size in the first round, and Jack Nesbet is one of the center that still have mostly middle six potential, but there's a chance that he can be a second line type of centerman. He has size at 6'4". Doesn't skate well. He's like, there's work to do on the skating side of things, but he has skills. He has soft hands. He can play through traffic. He can make nice plays along the board. I love the way he protects the puck and can just shield it and then distribute it to the center of the ice. He has skills, competitiveness, size. Just needs to work on the skating to make it happen. But I think if he's not a top six, he will be like a very good third line center in the NHL, in my opinion.
Jack Nesbet has a lot of size, 6'4", like you said. I think he is definitely a top 9 player. If he was your third line center, I think that you are a contender, in my opinion, just a playoff contender at least. He played really well for Windsor. He's a true center, in my opinion. He could be a forward, but I would see him. He did very well. He was almost a point per game in the OHL. I really like his offensive upside, too. I think that it's very untapped. He could go into the front of the net on a power play if he wanted and just screen the goalie and also get down there. It's very Milton de Gastrin-esque, where he's just going to fight for every single puck. I really do like Jack Nesbet's game. I think that he can gain a little size, especially with his 6'4" frame. He's kind of lighter on the 6'4" side. So I think that there's tremendous upside here. And when you're picking past pick 20, you can do anything you want here. Anything.
Yeah, I think I think it's a great fit. And number 21 for Ottawa.
Ottawa here, I believe, is going to take Cameron Reed. They just took Kartem Yakinchuk. I think Cameron Reed is just best player available at this group of players. I think that he could go higher than Kaishan Aitchison if a team loves him, loves his game. I think that I think that Cameron Reed is just one of those guys that at Kitchener, he played with Jack Pridham and he played with Luca Romano. I think that those are two really good players, and he helped them with his breakouts and his stability in the back end. I think that when they came back down 3-0, that was just such a fun run in the playoffs to watch, and he was kind of a big reason why. I think that Cameron Reed is just one of those guys that you kind of need on your team.
Yeah, and that's a value pick. Or I'm not sure how else to put it, but it's a player that you pick that has higher potential than where you're picking him, in my opinion. Because Cameron Reed is very good with the puck on his stick. He's a very competitive player, a very good skater that does a lot of good things on the ice. The only problem is the fact that he's 6 foot. But even then, he's not physical. He's 6 foot, and obviously at the NHL level, it's a little harder to translate. But he has a lot to be a puck-moving defenseman in the NHL. Like I said last time, he made me think of Fowler in Anaheim, or when he was in Anaheim. And I think he's that type of player, like a player that doesn't bring much physicality, doesn't bring clearing the net and all the things that the bigger defenseman can do easier. He's not that type of player, even though he's competitive, but he can bring so much with the puck on his stick in transition on the breakout or once he passes the offensive blue line, that it's a great pick at number 21. Last time you had Bill Zonon, and I prefer Cameron Reed over Bill Zonon here at 21.
Yeah, I think another Q player, Bill Zonon, very smart. He probably will be picked up from one of my picks going into the top 28, but I think you could go with either of those players.
Yeah. All right. So next at number 22, I had Cameron Reed last time. Because they passed on Bouillon. I was like, oh, they're going to take that time. They're going to take one.
They should have taken Bouillon.
Yeah. I think in that case, they should probably finish building that center line. Like they took Luchenko last year. We gave them who at the beginning? Who was that? Jake O'Brien. And I think we could finish that up with a Cole Reshney, a player that's maybe a little bit on a smaller side, a bit like Jet Luchenko, but Luchenko is like 6 foot, no? Something like that. He's not 5'10".
Yeah, he's not 5'10".
So Cole Reshney is on the smaller side, but he's also 183, 185 pounds. So he's in the average in terms of heaviness, but he plays really well on both sides of the puck. He's very good defensively as well as offensively. He was amazing in the playoff. Like we were talking last time, he was going toe to toe with the best player in the WHL. And he's a great playmaker. He has no problem playing in the middle of the ice where space and time are very hard to find, even in the WHL, a league that's pretty physical, I would say, especially for the CHL. It's one of probably the most physical one. And yeah, I think he just do great, and he projects as a center, in my opinion. Even though he's 5'10", I think he's a great distributor, great in the face-off dot too. I think he's at 56%, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. So it's not, projects well.
No one helped their stock in the last 3 months. I'm going to say it was 2 months, but I mean, he was on par with Gavin McKenna's numbers over there. I think that Cole Reshney is just one of those guys that you need on your team. He's explosive, 5'10". Like you said, you were going to do that video with a bucket of players that were 5'10". And
no, I won't. I said I was, but I will.
I said, yeah, was. No, you won't. But those, like Cullen Potter, Ben Kindle, and Cole Reshney, I think he's the best out of probably all of them. But I don't know. He surprised me going into the playoffs, and then what he did. I just think that he's a really good player. So this is a really great fit for Philadelphia.
And he still had 90 points or 94 points on the season. It's not like he had a quiet season. His season was not quiet. It's just that in the playoff he exploded even more, and that's a great sign. It's basically the last impression you're gonna give to a team, and then he went to the U18s too, where he did great too. So it's just like you said, he helped his stock immensely through the end of the season, but as a player, without his stock going up, I think he's the kind of player that you can take in that range at number 22 now, at 22, where it just makes so much sense. And for Philadelphia, they get to have Jake O'Brien, they get to have Jet Luchenko, and now Cole Reshney. That center line is starting to build, and they're all good centermen. There's no centermen that don't project well at the NHL.
Yep, great pick. And then 23, the second pick of 3 for the Predators. And last time I took Jack Ivankovich, and this time I actually am not going to do that. I hope you take him at 26 because he's a really good goalie. But
I won't.
I will say. So, Predators stole James Haggins with their first pick. They solidified a center role. Maybe got a projected number 1 pick for a lot of this season. So I'm going to go with Blake Fiddler here. I'm going to stop the fall, 6'4" defenseman. He is, in my opinion, one of the best players still on the board. If you're going to go defenseman here with also pairing, I think that the Predators are going to take a forward, a defenseman, and then a goalie with their top 3 picks, in my opinion. And then you have an early second-round pick, too. The Predators just have a lot to work with. I think best player available here would be what they should do. I like Blake Fiddler's game. He is somebody that does have some offensive ability, but he's mainly a mainstay defensively. He is somebody that I just kind of I kind of think shouldn't be falling. I was supposed to interview him a couple times. It just didn't work out yet. I might get to talk to him at the combine, but I would love to hear who his player comp is, and I would love to hear who he modeled his game after, just because like he just has a ton of upside. I think that he probably was somebody that I had ranked 18th or 20th, but he's fallen significantly. I didn't think that the season that he had was that great, but he did enough to stay in the first round.
Yeah, and like you said, like the season wasn't that great. I think he finished it off well at the U18s. Showed a few things that he was not necessarily doing in the CHL, like his capacity to open lanes for shooting the puck on net, or open lanes to pass the puck from the blue line, which he was doing in spurts, just not consistently in the CHL. But you can always bet on a 6'4", somewhat physical, good defensively type of defenseman. I don't think he will ever bring a lot of offense. He doesn't have the skating for it. I think he's gonna top off as probably average if he reach average in the NHL, and that will be a limiting factor for him probably. But like for Nashville, they get a James Haggins in the top 5 to bring more offense, and then they can solidify that defense. And if he's not a top 4 defenseman because the skating doesn't get better, or the offense, like the breakouts are not clean or something like that, well, you're still going to get like a number 5 defenseman that's going to be very solid in your zone, that's probably going to play on the PK. They're still a very valuable player, but let's not forget that that's the number 23 pick. So you're not necessarily trying to get a start number 23. They're not available. If you get one, it was by chance. So I think it's a great pick. It's a great piece to build your defense. And when you already got your maybe star at number 5 with James Haggins anyway. So, and then maybe a goalie later. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then at number 24, it's the Los Angeles Kings. And last time I gave them Cole Reshney, and now I can't. But I think I don't think we had him last time in the mock draft. But I could see a player like a Cullen Potter for them, a guy that bring like that skating element into maybe a top 6 in the future. I think he projects as a middle 6 player, like some type of finishing player in the middle 6, but he's a guy that can thrive in transition, that can really bring the puck from the defensive zone to the offensive zone. Just a dynamic player with his feet and with the puck on his hands. There's a lot that needs to change for him to be an NHL player. There's a lot that needs to change for him to be a top 6 NHL player. But at number 24, if you're going to take a chance on a player like Cullen Potter. Like he's a dynamic player, impressive player to watch. It's just, is it all going to work at the NHL level? Well, that's on them to find ways to make it work and help him develop his game. But that's the kind of bet that I would love them to take.
Cullen Harry Potter is a wizard on the ice. That's my nickname for him. I think that in the NCAA, he was playing with men. He showed that his game could translate to some sort of level with the more physical play. He's 5'10". I thought that his production was really fair, honestly. It wasn't great. It wasn't good. It was okay. And I think that was kind of what I was expecting for him to have, and I had him as a first-round pick earlier in the season. So there's nothing that really doesn't change that. One of the best skaters in the entire class. He's going to be getting some help at ASU next season too. They've gotten some really good commits that are going there. I just think that he's a really good player. Like, if I believe that he's a top 5 skater in this entire class, and I don't think that's like saying anything. He's just really good. He might be first. I think there was a rankings list at Draft Pros, and he was like 1 through 10. Like of skating, and nobody else was anywhere else. But I just think that it's safe to say he's top 10. I mean, top 5 skater. But
I think just overall, when you take everything from his skating, it's not just the speed at which he can take the puck from one zone to the other. It's also his agility. It's also his crossovers. It's also his the way he can fool defensemen in his transition, like just using a few stutter steps and a couple crossover to not give away his like trajectory in the neutral zone, right? and then you have the agility, the explosiveness. I think he's got it all in terms of skating. For me, he's the best skater in the draft. And yeah, but I think it's a good bet. Like you're taking a little bit of a bet, but you're taking a bet on a player that has a real chance at being an offensive threat in the NHL. So
yeah, it's a good educated guess. I agree.
Yeah. So next, it's 25 for the Blackhawks again.
Yeah, my Blackhawks. Even though I'm not wearing a Blackhawks shirt, I'm wearing merch for the Anaheim Ducks. But I think, honestly, we're at the point where I'm going to take Voslav Nestorsil. For the Blackhawks, they have a ton of picks. They have 12 in the first 2 rounds of the next 3 years. I think that's just an enormous amount of picks. You take highest upside available, something that you don't really have. Get the 6'5" size with a player that was really not doing anything last year for the Lumberjacks in his 8-game debut, and then just exploded. There was a player named Ivan Ryabkin who had top 10 upside in this class going into the season, and he outplayed him in Muskegon Lumberjacks, and I think that it showed what he can do. Voslav Nestorsil has an entire family that plays hockey. He had 4 brothers. One of them was a Red Wings draft pick in the 3rd round. I think that this kid was born to play hockey. His personality is fantastic. He loved my Fortnite question when I asked him where he landed in Fortnite. He said Tilted Towers, which shows his competitive edge. He's very fun to talk to. I think that he's just someone that you want in your locker room, and his dad is awesome too. He likes every single one of my posts. I talk about Voslav Nestorsil, so that's just consistency right there. It's bred in the family.
All right. Well, yeah, I think it would be a great pick. Personally, like last time you had Milton Gastrin, and I understand the Milton Gastrin, not Gilton. Like I understand the pick. Like there's upside on both sides of the puck, and overall he's just a good player. But Vaclav Nestorsil, to me, sounds like the same type of bet that they made. Is it in 2022 with geez, me and names, I just forget every name, but your right shot defenseman that came in for the last few games. What's his name?
Oh, Sam Renzel.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like the same type of bet. You bet on a guy that is showing a lot of skills, but that is very raw and gonna need time to develop to become that NHL player. But that if he puts it all together, you get a real player. You don't get a player to play on your 4th line or a player to maybe play yes, he could be a 3rd line player. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that Vaclav Nestorsil has that the skills, he has the skating, the size to be a real top 6 player, a real dangerous player. And that's an amazing bet. For once, they don't go with the 5'10" guy. Like I was expecting Benjamin Kindles or maybe a Cameron Schmidt here or something like that.
Yeah.
Ben Eck. But no, you did a good job. You're helping your team. I like him.
What you said.
I don't have him in my 1st round anymore. It's like I was talking last time in that stretch of players at number 33 that I have to build because I have to start my top 64. So I have to work on that a little bit. But he's a 1st round talent player. It's a lot of projection. A lot of things have to hit for him to get to where you think he can be. But he does have that upside though. So next, for Nashville at number 26, I go with Karen Schmidt. No.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm joking. I'm going to go with a goalie, but I'm not going to go with Ivan Kovic, even though I think Ivan Kovic is probably the best goalie right now. I don't think he will be the best goalie when it's all said and done. Like in 5 years, or goalie could be even longer than that. So maybe 6, 7, 8 years from now. I don't think Ivan Kovic, because of the size, even though he can grow, even though all those maybes, I don't think he will be the best. And for me, there's 2 players it could be. It could be Beckman or it could be Ravensbergen, but I'm going to go with the guy with the athleticism and the 6'5" size, and that's going to be Joshua Ravensbergen at number 26 for Nashville. Even though he's not my favorite, it's probably my 3rd favorite. But I think because of the projection, and this is a mock draft, it's not my top whatever. because it's a mock draft and because of the projection of the athleticism and the size.
Yeah.
I think there's more chance that Ravensbergen goes at number 26 than Ivan Kovic, but I could be very wrong too. So,
like, it's a what you think will happen mock, and I think that changes completely. Because of what I would do mock draft, I would have the Islanders trade the number 1 pick for a 7th round pick for the Blackhawks. Just try to solidify the number 1 pick. No,
yeah, for sure.
What I would do? No, yeah. But yeah, I think that you're wrong here for sure. No, yeah, Ravensbergen has the size. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. He is probably the goalie that projects with the most upside. If we're talking about true upside, 6'5", you can't teach that height unless there's something I don't know about. But I would have totally went to the league if I was 6'5". But the thing is, like, Joshua Ravensbergen was the best goalie in the WHL for their draft year this year. And obviously, Ivan Kovic was probably one of the best goalies in the OHL this year, aside from their draft class too. And he is winning pedigree. But at that 5'11" size, we don't know the projection of what he's going to grow to. So if he's 6'3" and it's Ivan Kovic versus Joshua Ravensbergen, it's probably Ivan Kovic.
Yeah.
But since it's 6 inches, that's a lot. Like, so, Joshua Ravensbergen for sure probably goes higher than Ivan Kovic. So good pick.
I was scared for a second. All right, number 27 for the Capitals.
So, I'm not sure who I took here last time. Oh, Ivan Ryabkin. Oh, okay.
Last time here was Nestorsil because I couldn't find him in Puckpedia to put him in the thing, so it's where the mock draft stops.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go Ivan Ryabkin here. I think that he's just some player that the Capitals probably would take a chance on. Mm-hmm. You have a player here that has a ton of upside. He was a projected top 10 player in this class before he was being talked about in the same ranges of Ivan Demidov and Michkov. I never saw that. I thought he was just the best Russian player, and I think that people compared him to those two players, but it was an unfair comparison. When he went to the USHL in Muskegon, he did not play well. He was probably the 4th best player. You have a 2026 underager that was 2026 draft eligible better than him, and I can't say his name, Tynan Lawrence, and then you have Voslav Nestorsil, and then you have Luka Radovevich. Those three players were probably better than Ivan Ryabkin, and I think that he just has so much skill that maybe he pops one day. I mean, this kid's 18 years old. If he pops, he pops. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of time for him to be a really good riser. If he pops, I think he has star upside, but I think that upside probably has a 10 to 12% chance of hitting. So 1 out of 10, you're just throwing a dartboard there. But if he hits, he hits.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. And the last pick would be Winnipeg at number which number now? Number 28. Yeah. So last time I gave them Shane Van Zaghi, I think, because it's not written, like I said, because of the Vaclav Nestorsil issue. And I'm going to get back on it and say that it's not going to be Van Zaghi because of the American thing. Because it's what's the name of the player that they lost that's gone to Pittsburgh? It's
Redder McGroarty.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that might play a little bit in how they go with their first round. Maybe they don't want to relive that again. If you do at the NHL level, their American player are signing with them. And that's not really an issue. It's more like the prospect thing. So I think it might be an issue for them. And they like size. They like skills. They usually they go with players that have decent potential, decent size, and stuff like that. So I thought Van Zaghi was a good fit there. But then I'm gonna go with Jacob Izwozniak, which also has size. Doesn't always know how to use it, but he does have he's 6'4", I think, something like that.
He does it. Yeah, he is.
Or 6'3" or something like that. But anyway, he's like.
Yeah,
he has a lot of skills. maybe a little bit not the best year that, or at least the year that we expected from him, but you can see that he's still very talented. You saw him at the U18s. Yeah, at the U18s, where he was really, really good. Even when you watch the games and in the U20s, he was very, very good too. It's just he's not consistent. Like you were talking last time when we were doing the top 32, the scouts are telling him to work on his focus away from the puck. And I would say this and like being maybe a little bit more engaged, like chasing the pucks a little bit more, like trying to be a bit more, using his body a little bit more. But I think it's all a learning process for him, but you can bet on his skills. Is he the type of player that's going to go that high? I think there's a chance. Is it possible that he drops to the second round? It's also very possible. But at number 28, if you want to take a player that has a certain upside, I think Jacob Wozniak is one of those players.
Yeah, I got to talk to him for a long time, and he's just a great kid. Very confident, in my opinion. He is somebody that I think is going to make the NHL. He wants to make that jump ASAP. He said if he has to stay there 2-3 years, he will. Same with Milton Gastrin. It seems like everything that they're doing is just to get to the NHL, which obviously it's a good sign.
Yeah.
That's just all you need to know. So, yeah, I think that he's going to be a player that could be a mainstay at a top 9 for a very long time. I don't see him as a fourth liner, and if he is, I think that is not really worth a first round pick, but I don't
think he has a skill set to be a fourth liner anyway. So it's either higher up or not in the NHL.
Yeah. If he's a fourth liner, then he's a bust.
Like there's plenty of other players that could have gone in. It could be Bill Zonan. It could be William Moore. It could be Jack Murtagh. But some of them come with the American flag, which I think is a real issue for Winnipeg in the prospect sphere. So I don't think they want to relive that situation, even though it ended up pretty fine for them. I don't think they want to go through that situation again. So maybe they will try to, at least in the first round or early second round, try to like move away from that and go with player either Canadian or Sweden or Finland or something like that. But still try to find players that have size, have skill, have potential. And I think Jacob Wozniak kind of fit that bill.
Yep, that's a great point.
So that's it. That was the last pick. Again, like I was saying last time, I think it's a great board. Just to basically say it back. At number 1, we have Matthew Schaefer for the Islanders, followed by Michael Misa and Anton Frandel for San Jose and Chicago. Caleb Desnoyers, James Haggins at number 4 and 5 for the Mammoth and for the Predators. Jake O'Brien to Philadelphia. Porter Martone for Boston. I don't like that. Roger McQueen for Seattle. Victor Eklund, obviously at Buffalo. Radomirka going to Anaheim. Carter Bear to Pittsburgh. Brady Martin to the Rangers, which I don't like either. Linden Lakovich at number 13 could be a hell of a pick, or it could be something that doesn't work either.
Boomer bust.
Yeah, but not exactly boomer bust, but there's real boom potential. I'm not sure if there's really bust potential, but definitely boom. Jackson Smith to Columbus, Logan Hensler to Vancouver, Justyn Carbonneau to Montreal. Good job. I'm happy.
Great pronunciation.
Yeah, well, I don't know why. Malcolm Spence at number 17 for the Habs again. Followed Kaishan Aitchison to Calgary, Braden Kutz in St. Louis, Jack Nisbet in Columbus. Good draft for Columbus, I would say. Cameron Reed in Ottawa. That's 2 puck-moving defensemen back-to-back in 2 years. That's good. Cole Reshney in Philadelphia. Good center line. Blake Fiddler in Nashville. Cullen Potter in Los Angeles. I'm lagging. My brain is like, meh. After that, we said Vaclav Nestorsil to Chicago. Very good pick. I'm happy you made that one.
Thank you so much.
I would be a little bit jealous. I really like it.
Thank you.
Joshua Ravensbergen to Nashville again. Ivan Ryabkin to the Capitals. And Jacob Wozniak to Winnipeg. So, yeah, that's good.
That was awesome rundown right there. smack that like button just for the rundown. I mean, you sounded like an auctioneer right there. That was awesome.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Thank you a lot for coming on the podcast for doing this mock draft. It was fun once again.
Of course.
People like it, so doing more of it.
Our mock 2.0, but this is the 1.0 publicly.
Yeah. Yeah, basically. Is it recording? Yeah, it is. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
You don't want to receive a text again after, huh? Hey, it didn't record.
I would be down, but my family would be like, where you at? I'm like, I'm mock draft.
All right, well,
It's
thank
life.
you, guys. Peace.